Yo, what's up everyone? Trayman1 here, and the Pokemon community has been divided on Pokemon Horizons. There are fans that love it and will ride for it, and there are fans that hate it. Either can't stand it, just can't get into it, or they may just miss the boy Ash. But I really want to go ahead and talk about why Horizons is hated so much. I've seen a lot of comments, especially under one of my previous videos that kind of discussed my issue with the Pokemon anime right now. And it was actually related to just the secondary Pokemon, but people actually brought out their genuine problems with the series. And I want to go ahead and kind of do a deep dive into what's going on, why the fans not like Pokemon Horizons, and what they could do to improve. One of the first things that was brought to my attention, and I can actually kind of agree with this, is how inconsistent the writing is. And basically the points that people are making is that they're so inconsistent with when they want to focus on telling a story and when they don't want to be story focused. And even with the characters' development. Now, I can actually agree on the characters' development part. A few examples is kind of like Liko, Roy, and Dot in terms of their strength in battles, where we had the gym battles, where Liko and Dot ended up losing all their fights, but then turn around a few episodes later, Liko's beating Diana and the champion. Now, yes, that was a team effort, but the Diana one kind of rubbed me the wrong way, especially with not too long ago, Liko and Roy battled Florigato versus newly evolved Crocolar, and Florigato ended up losing as it should. But then Arcanine comes in. Diana's Arcanine, which was shown to be this powerhouse, I thought it was dang near on the level of Captain Pikachu back in that arc. And Liko wins? Now, yes, there were some things like Flare Blitz was used a lot, recoil, but it really didn't feel like a justified win. It felt really forced, especially with Liko losing every gym battle and to Roy. And now, all of a sudden, she can beat a Pokemon that's a type, stronger than her. And on the topic of losing those gym battles, a lot of people feel like the Horizons cast is being babied. The whole purpose of that whole gym training arc was so that they could get stronger, because before that arc, they were always relying on Captain Pikachu to help them. And yes, they did get stronger after the arc, but for them to be losing these battles and still passing, it kind of felt like, well, what's the point? Like, why are we doing this training if you're not even going to have to improve and win the battle? Which is why I really like both Rhyme and Grusha, because they took it serious. They were like, oh, you lost. Rhyme was like, you're going to have to rematch me. And Grusha just said, you failed. I feel like we needed more of that through that training arc, because besides that, there's no real stakes. Like, oh, yeah, they're just going to win anyways. But when it comes to fighting against Zygarde, you guys are screwed. Now, here's the thing. Power scaling in Pokemon has always been a little iffy, but I feel like it's kind of been consistent up until the most recent series, Pokemon Journeys. I feel like Pokemon Journeys is what really threw the scaling out of the window, and Horizons is running with it. What I mean by that is, in Pokemon Journeys, a lot of Ash's Pokemon, for example, like the Iris fight, where Dracovish and Dragonite was able to beat Champion Iris's Pokemon, where Dragonite, before this, his only win was against Karina, and this was Dracovish's first fight. So I was like, what the heck is this, man? The scaling was very off in Pokemon Journeys, and it seems like the same thing is going on here, where we have some consistency, like Captain Pikachu, amazing. But then, with Liko, Roy, and Dot, yeah, they are growing. Don't get me wrong. We had a training arc. We've seen their progression. But I still don't feel like it's quite enough, especially when they have these second Pokemon that I discussed in another video that haven't gotten any wins at all. But they're coming in and doing all this great stuff somehow magically. Like, come on now. And that's another thing. Yes, Liko, Roy, and Dot aren't going to take on a Pokemon League. So essentially, they don't really have to train or catch Pokemon. But still, with their goals in mind, they do need to get strong. But it's just the way that they're progressing is not really the greatest. It's the same issue that I personally have with Pokemon Journeys. Now, the second complaint that I've been kind of seeing about Pokemon Horizons, and this one is kind of a controversial one, it's just the fans that are missing Ash. I can understand. We've had Ash for 25 long years, from the original series all the way up to Pokemon Journeys. So there's a lot of people that are really attached to Ash. And they felt like if Ash's journey is ending, the next characters really had a high bar to follow up on. But I feel like what the writers of Pokemon Horizons are doing, they're completely not even thinking about Ash or that previous series. They want to start their series from scratch. And I think that's a good job on them. Like, I've actually been enjoying most of Horizons. But unfortunately for those longtime Pokemon fans, they can't really get with it. One thing I've been seeing people say is Horizons isn't a Pokemon series. It's just an anime with Pokemon in it. And I think that's actually kind of a good point. Where on the one hand, it's cool because we are getting these characters like development and we're getting their stories. But on the other hand, some people, they are used to watching Pokemon animes for a Pokemon anime. Which, to consider that, I guess you could say that's you take on a big tournament at the end, you're building a team, you're taking on these challenges, whether they be gyms or the rankings or the trials. I guess that's what people want when they think of a Pokemon anime. And since Horizons isn't giving us that, that's why people aren't really connecting with the series. And I can respect them for that because honestly, like the last point we made about the power scaling, there's no real way to tell how close they are to getting to their goals. Like, Ash, he always had a goal, whether it was to go fight in the Pokemon League. Now, how he got there, we got to see him catching these Pokemon, taking on the gyms, trials, or whatever, or just ranking up, seeing his progression. Here, there's no real way to measure their progression. Yeah, we did have the small gym arc, but there's nothing really like training-wise that they can do, or at least that they've shown us that they're doing to say, okay, they can beat the champion of Paldea now, or okay, they're strong enough to beat a Rayquaza, in my opinion. I feel like that's just where one of the issues comes in, and I can also agree with that point. Because for so long, we kind of knew what to expect out of a Pokemon anime, even when they did change up in Sun and Moon and Journeys, we still knew, okay, there are trials that Ash needs to go face. So, it's not the gyms, but we know he's going to build up to Pokemon League, and even in Journeys, we knew there's the big world tournament that was happening at the end of the series. So we had to watch Ash rank up. And I can see why some people would say, without having some type of level of progression or something to monitor our progression, the series is kind of boring to them. Now, yes, we have the hero Pokemon that they're collecting, but that's just kind of like okay, we found the hero, we caught it, on to the next. Like, I don't know. It doesn't have as big of an impact, at least in my opinion. Like, the big ones like Moltres, obviously, yeah, that was huge because, that's a Moltres. Entei's been pretty good so far. But then you look at the other ones like Arboliva, Lapras. I think Cleaver's kind of cool, but they don't really match up to those legendary Pokemon. It's like, whoa, we have all these legendaries and then we have all these standard Pokemon. So I can see why some people aren't really excited for those like they would be for the legendaries. And I feel like they even treat the legendaries at a higher rank than those other Pokemon. And I know I've mentioned Arc 3 a lot, but I really do feel like Arc 3 does also play a part as to why people don't like Horizons as much now. Arcs 1 and 2 were straight story-driven, focused. And then Arc 3, it takes a shift. We're stuck in Paldea now. It's a school arc, but they are focusing on training. I feel like Arc 3 was needed. But a lot of my friends, they were like, I really don't like Arc 3 because it just took the story that we were telling and just kind of putting it on pause for so long. And now they're having a hard time getting back into it with Arc 4. I don't know, like, they needed the training because, as we saw, they were just relying on Cap, but it wasn't told well. Like, I can see why people have these issues. So it's like, what could they have done? They needed the training, which this might just be a thing of pacing as well, because by this point, we had already had quite a few of the ancient Pokemon, which we only had to catch the Rayquaza, Entei, and Kleavor left. And so I guess they needed to take that little pause as well, because if not, we would have had all the ancient Pokemon by episode 50, which is kind of insane when you think about it. So, yeah, maybe the pacing is another issue that people are having with this series. And overall, I just feel like at the end of the day, now, yes, there are some issues that Horizons does need to work on, in my opinion, as well. But even as a fan of the series, I just feel like, unfortunately, Horizons just isn't the series for everyone. Now, the original Pokemon series, that's the one that got us all into it. This one isn't for all of us. There are some new fans that will come and love Horizons, but for the long-time Pokemon fans, they've taken a change and they want to reach a new demographic. So either new fans are just going to kind of have to adjust to it or deal with it, or maybe if they complain enough, Pokemon will hear them and try to either fix the series or try again next time with the next generation. But there's not much really we can do about Horizons now. We're already 2 years in, going into year 3. I'm pretty sure, if Horizons is going to end by the time this generation is over, we probably only have just this 1 or maybe 1.5 years left before the series is up. So yeah, I don't really know what's going to come out of this. I will say, if you did stop watching Horizons, give it another chance. Because what I've heard some people say is that Horizons doesn't work on a week-to-week basis like the original anime did. The original anime worked on a week-to-week basis because there was always something exciting to look forward to each week. But Horizons works when you sit down and binge watch it. Because it's telling a progressive story, if you sit down and just watch 10 episodes at a time, you can really get the flow of the story and kind of not have to jump in and out of it. The series is enjoyable to people who watch it like that. Maybe that's one of the biggest things. So if you did start watching Horizons, I say give it a try in this way. If you still can't pick it up, then maybe the next series will be the one that will bring us all back together. And if you are enjoying Horizons, let me know your thoughts. If you have any complaints as well, I would love to hear those as well in the comment section down below if I've missed any of them. With that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Trayman1, peace out.